Alright, continuing History of Bond series with The World Is Not Enough. I should have been showing this before, but The World Is Not Enough came out in 1999. It was a new millennium, and yeah, it came out in Christmas of 1999, and so that's leading into the millennium. There's a thing in the end that kind of leads into that, and yes. This is notable for featuring the longest pre-title sequence in the history of the Bond films, where you have Bond, showing up at this bank. He's getting money for this guy named Sir Robert King. He gets the money, but there's an assassin and a cigar girl, people getting shot at and killed. And he escapes, and he, zooms down on a rope, and that was supposed to be where it ended, but they decided to extend it. So instead, it continues to MI6 headquarters, which gets blown up because they get there. They realize that the money was wired with something that could explode, and it kills Sir Robert King. And even though Bond tries to get there, he steals this boat from Q, and he takes off chasing this cigar girl, and she, this cool action sequence is probably, I gotta say, so far, the Brosnan pre-title sequences are actually pretty cool, pretty action-packed, and it continues here. It's actually a pretty cool scene, and so yeah, chases the cigar girl on the boat. Boom, 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 boom. She tries to evade him when the bridge is goes down, but you can go underwater. For some reason, there's not a cover thing or a bubble that covers him. He's just underwater. Or if he had to be underwater for a certain amount of time. I don't know. And he finally gets to her, and he's like, "You gotta tell me." She said, "I can't, he'll hurt me." And then she shoots the tank. He jumps down and lands on this dome, which hurts his shoulder, and then she explodes, of course. And then we get the opening titles, which, much like Tomorrow Never Dies, the visuals are good, but the song is meh for me. I just don't really care for it, There was a certain point where there were some decent title sequences with the Connery thing. Diamonds Are Forever was good, and then, you get Live and Let Die, that was good, and then Man with the Golden Gun was okay, and then shortly afterwards you get a lull of these songs that just don't really work. All Time High was probably, a little bit better, and then A View to a Kill, of course. You got this string of A View to a Kill, A View to a Kill, Living Daylights, License to Kill, and GoldenEye, just boom, 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 boom. And then, no, we're just not, it's just meh. So, we reconnect at a new MI6 facility in Scotland, where we get a tribute to Bernard Lee. In the back, you have his poster. So, we're led to believe that, there's all this thing, oh, Bond is just a code name. M is a code name. So, I choose to believe that M is a code name, and so we get Bernard Lee, Robert Brown, and Judi Dench. They're different, well, obviously Judi Dench, but Robert Brown and Bernard Lee are different people. Not the same M. I think they're different people. And that, that picture, most likely confirmation that M is a code name. And you see Moneypenny is there, and a bunch of other 00 agents are given out their assignments, except for Bond, who's in a sling. And he's told that he's not on active duty because of his injuries. And so he goes to the nurse doctor lady. And, he convinces her, wink, wink, to, And this scene, it reminds me of the Connery era, because we haven't really seen much or maybe even like Roger Moore, Connery, something that Connery or Moore would do, where he's like talking to her and he's just like undoing her clothes as he's talking, and it's very much like the old Bonds. I kind of liked it, but then in this day and age, we're supposed to think that's bad. According to GoldenEye, what M called him, you're a misogynist. Yet, and so she says she's gonna clear him, and then we get the Q scene, which is bittersweet, because it's the last time we see Desmond Llewellyn as Q. Well, he's at the end of the film, but really it's sort of a goodbye scene for him. He's mad because Bond smashed his fishing boat, which the last time we saw his boat before this, it just kind of landed somewhere. But here it's like all destroyed, which, how did that happen? Because we just see it go do 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 and land somewhere. It doesn't crash or anything. I don't know. And he introduced to R, I guess, replacement Q, which is no, it isn't Desmond in the end. That's actually the other one. We get the replacement Q, and it's John Cleese, who has his Monty Python humor with him, where he gets his coat stuck in the door, and then you get the BMW with gadgets again, and these glasses which he has a X-ray vision, and he gets this coat where you pull a thing and a big old dome comes around, comes in handy later. Yeah. So now his mission is to protect the daughter of Sir Robert King, Electra King. He goes through files and stuff, find out she was kidnapped, and he believes that the guy who kidnapped her, Renard, is still alive. That Renard was shot by 009, I believe it was. He survived, and now he feels no pain. That's not even really brought in. There's one scene where he's holding like a hot coal or something, and it doesn't do anything, but there's no scar or anything. And then he punches through a desk, and you see that there's glass in there, and he doesn't feel anything. But those are the only scenes that we get. Nothing like you think you get a scene where Bond is shooting him, and he doesn't feel the pain, so he just keeps coming, even though he's hurt. He doesn't feel the pain. A lot of things, you get shot, you feel the pain as it makes you fall down, but you're not feeling the pain. You're going to keep going, even though you're technically dying. We don't get that. You think that would be, it would be cliche. I don't know about at this point, but, And, right away, so, I hadn't seen this, but I figured out the twist from a mile away. When they said it was someone close to Robert King who switched the pins that caused the explosion, and I went, oh, well, it's gotta be his daughter then. And then they're like, oh, Renard is still alive, he's the one that's behind it. And they had this other Russian dude or whatever that they, were supposed to believe is behind it. I'm like, I just don't, no, I'm not convinced. And like, he's a red herring. You're trying to misdirect me into thinking it's him. And I was right. It turns out Electra is behind it. Here's something that I want to point out that I'm going to kind of criticize. So, M tells Bond he's not allowed to have sex with Electra. Good agents from front and behind, not on top. But you can still, from behind. I'm just saying. He doesn't have to be on top. He can be from behind. I'm just saying. And you gotta learn your sexual positions. But, so he refuses sex twice. Like, there's one scene where she's, like, trying to seduce him, and he says, no, I cannot do that, and he walks away. He goes to visit an old friend at a casino, which ends up being Valentin Zukovsky, played by Robbie Coltrane from GoldenEye. It's good to see him back. He has a bigger role here. So does M, by the way. And then Electra shows up, and she loses $1 million, and that's when Bond starts to get a little bit iffy about what's going on. She seduces Bond again, and he declines, only for then it to cut, and they're in bed together. And I have to ask the question, huh? What? Was there a deleted scene that was never, what? How? He says no, and then they're just in bed, and I don't understand how that works. And of course, he's immediately suspicious. You know, there's a few other instances of stuff that's happened. He goes, he follows the guy that's supposed to be, you know, the red herring guy. He kills him. He takes his place, and he meets Dr. Christmas Jones, played by Denise Richards. And my God, they tried. They just couldn't make me believe that Denise Richards is an archaeologist. Nah. Sorry. I believe that Tanya Roberts is a physicist over her being a... No. Just no. There are two reasons why she got this role. And they're right and left, if you know what I mean. You know? No. They were clearly casting body-wise and not acting-wise or believability-wise, because there's no way anyone would believe that she's an archaeologist person. No. Are you comfortable? Dog's doing dead dog, where you lay on the back and he's dead dog. Are you dead dog? Are you dead dog? Go, go. Dead dog, go, go, the dead dog. Yes. Stop distracting me in my reviews. So damn cute. Anyway, made me lose track now. Thanks a lot. Right. So he's pretending to be the Russian guy, and goes down, and they're double cross the explosion thing, and Renard is there, and he blows up the place, and he and Christmas Jones, they get out, and he confronts Elektra and tells what's going on. She slaps him. She tries to convince him that she's not involved, and she calls M to get Bond removed, and M comes out, and it's a trick, and M gets kidnapped, and Bond has to save M now. And yes, but Bond found this little tracking thing which he gave to M before the kidnapping, and when for some reason Elektra brings in a little clock, she takes the battery and puts what's the clock for? So they're going, why didn't you bring in the clock to tell you what time it was? I don't know. But, yeah. And so, Bond, Jones, and Zukovsky track down where she's going to be, but as they're going to leave, Elektra shows up. It turns out that Zukovsky's right-hand man is working for Elektra and kidnaps them and takes them there anyway. And you're wondering, well, why did they go through all that to find out where she is? They're just gonna take them there. Well, we'll get to that. Christmas Jones is taken to Renard, and Bond is taken up to Elektra. They have this little, thing. Zukovsky shows up, and that's why they did that, because so he could find where they are to save them. And he shows up, and he gets killed by Elektra, but not before shooting Bond, as it would seem. But to us, we see that he actually shot one of Bond's shackles. He's freed, and he has a confrontation where he chases her around. Somehow, M knows that it's Bond running up the stairs after Elektra, and she yells, "Bond!" And comes in, and he shoots the lock, and she's free, and then he follows Elektra. And this is probably the best acted scene in the film, because we've seen this connection with Bond and Elektra throughout the entire film. There's a connection there. There was feelings. There was something. He felt something for her, seeing her performance, as we now know. There was a connection. And, he's like, "I will kill you if you don't, tell him to call it off." And she's like, "You want to kill me. Dive!" And before she can even finish the sentence, shoots her dead. And M walks in just as he's kind of over top of her. And, you know, it's a sad scene. It's a very well acted scene. Pierce Brosnan, you know, they say that every Bond actor gives his best performance in the third film, and I still going great for that, you know. Goldfinger, Spy Who Loved Me, you know, this, you know. Brosnan is probably at his best in this film as it comes to acting. He's very good. So I agree with that every third film. And then Bond is now after Renard and saving Christmas Jones. And yeah, Renard dies. Sure, he didn't feel anything when he died. And then we get one last gag that calls back to the Roger Moore era of Bond films where they're trying to locate Bond and the new Q or R. Because the joke is, if you're Q, does that make him R? You know. They're like, oh, the orange means body heat. And all of a sudden the orange starts turning red. And he goes, I thought you said he was with Dr. Jones. And then all of a sudden you see like her legs spread out and M goes, 007! And R turns it off, or new Q, whatever, turns it off. And he says, must be a malfunction due to the Millennium Bug. Yeah, that one holds up well. And then we get another line that holds up incredibly well. I thought Christmas only came once a year. And then end credits. Yeah, so this is a mixed bag for me. Action scenes were pretty good. Acting was pretty good. But I feel overall that this was a step down compared to the last two. And I know it's going to be better than the next one. Because I know what the next one is. And I'm not looking forward to that one at all. There is a scene where they're going through the pipeline that does show off what would be in the next one, you know, like some CGI stuff. But in this film, I think that's the only scene that they use it in, and it's not that bad. But, you know, the next one. But, yeah, this was okay. Not too bad, but still not, you know, Golden Knight. It's not even at the level of Tomorrow Never Dies. But, and it just says, James Bond will return. Okay. You know, trying to call back to those other days, but they don't have a name for it. So, yeah, not bad for my first watch. So, yes, and the next is Die Another Day. Not really looking forward to that one, but, you know, what can you do? So, what are your thoughts on The World Is Not Enough? Leave them in the comments below. Make sure to like, share, and subscribe. Thanks for watching. I've been Scotty, and I'll see you in the next one.